Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the Strawberry Sundaes podcast. We have the man with legend, RiRi, with us today. RiRi, how are you?
Not too bad, bro.
Good.
Had a nice
Good
sleep last
stuff.
night.
That's what we like to see. Ready for it. We'll get straight into it, so we're not keeping the chat waiting. So if you want to just give a bit of an introduction about yourself for anyone that may not know who you are and a bit about your background.
Alright. I'm Ryan, RiRi McCrystal. I've been streaming on Twitch on and off for probably like 4 or 5 years, but did it consistently for about the past year and it's been really good time. I started playing competitively in Call of Duty Ghosts that's like nearly 7 years ago now. I played Comp COD up until the end of MW and then I made the switch to Warzone. And I'm 23, probably should say that, and I live in Ireland. I think that's the most you're going to get out of me. Well,
Yeah, it's cool. We'll get into a bit more detail with the specific sort of events.
yeah.
So let's go right back to the start. So, like you said, have you always been involved with sort of Call of Duty even before that sort of competitive?
Yeah, I mean, I've been playing Call of Duty since the first COD on PlayStation 2, so
Yeah. Okay.
that's definitely where it kicked off.
Yeah. And was there anything sort of like GBs or anything like that at all that you played before you were sort of introduced to competitive?
Not really well. I'd say I started playing Comp because of Optic. I feel like that's
Yeah.
most people, but I would just watch Ghosts. No, wait, before Ghost, it was Black Ops 2. I'd watch them scrim a lot, and then I grind league play. I was mastered like every single season, and then I did play GBs at the end of that year, but I didn't
Yeah.
properly start playing comp until next year.
Okay. So that was sort of the main love for the competitive side of things, where you get your competitive nature from watching Optic back in the day.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I'm always been a competitive guy. I've got four brawlers, and when you just
Yeah.
play football or anything, I always be the one wanting to win. So
Yeah.
in that
No,
sense,
I
that's
can
cool. Just where
imagine.
the competitive came from.
Okay. And you said that your first console was a PlayStation 2. Was that?
No. Well, yeah. Well, probably my own first console, but we had consoles
Yeah.
before that weren't mine. So
Okay.
I think
What was the first gaming experience that you can remember?
uh, the first gaming experience I can remember is Super Mario on the SNES at my auntie's house.
Mm.
That's ancient, but yeah, that was it.
Yeah. Yeah, a couple of people might not know what that is.
Yeah.
But no. Okay. Okay. So brilliant. So you sort of grew up playing, your games, and clearly it's been a massive part ever since. And so, like you say, you started sort of end of Black Ops 2, start of Ghost. So did you go, like you say, you went straight into the competitive scene? Was it a fact of, just scrims to start with, or did you go all out and go straight into the sort of tournaments and that aspect?
Yeah, right. Well, back in the day, probably no one's gonna really know about this, but the solo threads and stuff like that, you'd play. That's where you get your scrims. That's where you get your eights and all sorts like that. So that's how I really get into it. Just posting the threads and just playing whatever I could at the time, and not having a set team or nothing, but just getting in there and playing with people. But then eventually I did get a team and whatnot, and then I went to my first LAN event that on that game, but it was like the last LAN event of the game. That's when that started. But it was on Ghost. It was just really scrims, and well, Gfinity's ran back then, so it was like I think it was like a fiver a month, and they put on like 4 tournaments a week, and you could make like £100 if you want it, and then 15 if you come like eighth. So there was money there, but
Yeah.
I, I
I
don't know
mean,
how they
it's
made the money
it's
back from that, but yeah.
it's sort of pocket change compared to what
Oh yeah,
what
the
you get
stuff now,
now
yeah, hundred
for the
percent. But
ridiculous,
back then it was just
ridiculous salary.
straight passion and wanting to get better.
Yeah, I think a lot of the old school people have that sort of passion and the drive, don't they? In terms of you're playing for pennies
Oh
back in the day. Now
yeah,
now
I
you've
mean,
got people playing on 50 grand a week salaries or whatever.
yeah, it
It
was
is.
nothing like that back in the day. You just grind virtual XP ladders just to have some sort of bragging rights.
Yeah, and it was always the shit talking as well was the funniest
Oh
part.
yeah, 100%. I mean, I talked a lot of shit back in my day.
So Okay, so that was like sort of the first sort of year. So what was the game after that? Was it AW?
Yeah, AW.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that
Okay.
game.
So was that sort of your what did you see that you really got the drive for, like the competitive spirit?
Um, I mean, even the first event on Ghosts, we got top 8, which was
Mm.
all right, not great. Would like to do better, but still top 8 was decent. And it was just like I always just had the drive to just want to beat the best and be the best.
Yeah.
So that was just that. In AW, it was I I was team upping a lot. Couldn't really get anything stable, but still had some decent placements towards the end. End up teaming with Rez. Don't know if you know who that is. I assume you do. But
Mm.
yeah, no, AW was like the year I was like sort of just getting into everything and just getting better and meeting people and getting like a bit of a name for myself.
Yeah. Okay. And then did you have sort of a solid team from that game, or was it sort of, like you say, it was kind of on and off with different
Yeah.
people, teaming with, did you ever in any of the games ever get like a solid roster throughout the whole game or throughout two titles or?
Yeah, well, towards the end of AW, I was still 17, and that's sort of where like the 18-year-old rule came in to play.
Hmm.
But so I got dropped towards the end of AW, which wasn't an issue because there wasn't really
Yeah.
much left to play at that stage. But then going into Black Ops 3, I turned 18. Well, I'd been 18 for like a month or two, and that's really where Black Ops 3 is probably my best year, if you ask anyone.
Yeah.
And yeah, I had a pretty stable team that year. We should have probably qualified for the Pro League, but we had one of our players had passport issues, and the qualifier was in Germany and whatnot. So we had last minute substitute. We had to switch out a sub player for a main AR, and we just lost the
Yeah.
last match, like by 2 maps, really close maps and whatnot. And then after that, if you weren't in the league, there was very little to play for because there wasn't many Vlans on Black Ops 3. But towards the end, I ended up playing with Delio, Revolt, and Colgate. And that was probably my best team. And
Yeah.
we went to GFIN, and we took Splice last map, last round. We lost that. We should have beat them 3-0 that whole series. They were first sweeped us. And then they went on to come second at champs that year, and it was just, yeah, that's that stings a little bit still.
Yeah, and no, I can imagine. I don't think the players that sort of play it now still realise that the opportunities that they get is crazy.
Oh
Like you
yeah,
say, talking about the tournaments and that sort of thing, and how it was ran back in the day compared to now. Like the opportunities are a joke now.
yeah.
Um,
Well,
I
if you're
mean,
in the
I'm
pro
not.
league, I'm sort of
Yeah,
against the
well,
franchise
yeah,
thing because if you're not in the pro league, you're not really you can't play against the best. You can't really even get the opportunity to do so. So I don't
yeah.
know.
No, I think that's a tough part of the franchise league. It's a great way to invest the money and whatnot, but like you say, there's no opportunity really for the AMs to come up um, and get there. So, like I say, you got to Black Ops 3 there. And you said that you played until the end of Modern Warfare. Is that right?
Yeah.
Played right up. Yeah. Okay. So what was your highest seed in that you got?
Um, highest like finish.
Yeah.
Well, it's it's hard because obviously with franchising coming into the States, so after franchising, the placements got a bit easier.
Yep.
Well, I'd say that, but then some of the AM teams got a lot better, and some of them were still pros. But like that, towards the end of MW, I got a sixth place. But
Yep.
I would rate some of the placements I got in the lower games that weren't as high as that to be better than that sixth place. But
Yeah, because of the ability that was in there.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay. And you said that sort of Black Ops 3, you think that was your best game.
yeah. Well, I mean, during Black Ops 3, I was a sub in the Pro League for LDLC. I played
Yep.
half a season for them. And that's probably I would say
Yes.
I think everyone would say that was my best game, but I'd say the games after that I was still pretty good and probably just didn't
Yeah.
get the teams to show it. But yeah, Black Ops 3 is
I think
definitely
that's it, isn't it? I think I'm not exactly a competitive genius, but a lot of the people that I speak to that have competed all say that the teammates that you pick up and that sort of thing is so important. You know, you could be
Yeah.
literally the best in the game, but if you don't have those right people next to you, then you're not
Yeah.
even going to come close.
If you ain't got the right people, it's just not going to work. Because some
Yeah,
people are really good, but some people have bad comms, or they just have bad mentalities, or they're a bad teammate in
no.
some aspects of things. But
Okay, and
it was definitely hard.
would you say jetpacks then? Because a lot of the games that you've sort of mentioned are jetpack based, e.g. AW, Battlefield
Yeah,
3. Would
I think that was just my come up, but I definitely enjoyed them. Where
yeah,
I feel like the racing games we were getting stitched with like bad maps and bad game modes and stuff like that. But yeah, the jetpack ones were definitely funner, I think, and they were probably
yeah.
better to watch
I
for
think
the
like you
viewership.
say with the maps and stuff like that, you've got a hell of a lot of good maps back in the day, and it's just not
Yeah,
replicating those over.
the maps in recent years are built to be like campy and have safe spaces, and they're built for the public, and they're not really built for comp. So
Yeah, no, exactly that, exactly that. Okay, so okay, we've got sort of to MW now. So MW season, did you play out the full season or did you dabble into Warzone
uh,
like while it was there?
I did play the full season, but I did like play bits of Warzone.
Yeah,
Not I didn't grind it when it came out because it came in March or something, and I did end up finishing out the whole season. I didn't really start grinding Warzone until the season was probably over.
yeah,
So I ended up we got the sixth place, whatever. That was before the champs. And then we got couple top eights, whatever. But then the teams just sort of split, and then didn't really get anything for champs. I just ended up playing with Louis, Delio, and Chunk and Dreams. They were just all grinding Warzone at the time, but that's just who I ended up playing with. We didn't really do anything in champs, but we didn't really expect
yeah.
much.
No, because I don't think people appreciate the amount of time and effort that you know competing takes. You know, with your scrims.
Oh, you have
Um,
it takes so much time. FOD reviews, scrims,
yeah,
it's watching the pro leagues, making strats, breakoffs. There's a lot that goes into it.
yeah, and I don't think that that people appreciate like you say the effort that goes in when
Oh
you can't really dedicate your time to anything else.
yeah, if all
Um,
you're doing is hopping on and scrimming, you're not going to get anywhere because
yeah,
everyone else is doing everything extra. So if you're not doing that, you're
exactly,
not going to get far.
exactly. So you finished champs on Modern Warfare, then like you say, you started sort of your Warzone grind. When was it in Warzone where you felt that you could start competing in some of these big tournaments?
I mean, I always knew because it was like just Warzone. The formats at the time were just bot races, like just
Yeah,
load in. You're just playing pubs essentially at that stage. But like I'd been competing in tournaments against actual players for 8 years, so I knew I could always play in the tournaments. It was just
yeah,
learning the new game, and it wasn't really like learning the new game because it was still COD. It was just learning rotations, learning positioning and stuff like that. But I pretty much went in the tournament straight away. Not obviously your big boy tournaments are just the ones you pay down to yourself, whatnot, and you'd win a couple of them, but they don't really mean much. But nice little bit of money.
So do you think that having that competitive edge from before kind of helped your progress on Warzone because you had that sort of confidence and that boost from competitive? And like you say, a lot of the people that are in these big tournaments are people that did used to play competitive. So I bet you would have actually played against them before.
Yeah, it's just the know-how. It was just a learning curve. And even when like a new COD came out, like a new title, I would say I was pretty good at learning it pretty quickly and stuff like that. So I'm a pretty fast learner. It's just taking the little things and knowing what to do, when to do it, and once you've done it before, you just know it's repetitive. It's muscle
Yeah,
memory.
no, of course, of course. Okay, so in terms of Warzone then, so were you sort of after you started the grind on Warzone, like you say, then you took it sort of full time and were able to pursue, um, pursue it full time and stream the events and these tourneys and whatnot. So how far into it was that, or did you get the opportunity to start that straight away?
Well, I'd already right. So I'm in uni, but I've taken 2 year break since I need to finish one more year. But I took the break before MW season,
Yeah.
so I was just gaming full time at that stage. It wasn't during MW season. I was streaming on and off. I wasn't really consistent with it, but I was stream here and there. But when I started playing Warzone, I was streaming every single day,
Yeah.
and so
Do you regret not streaming throughout Modern Warfare? Do you feel that you may have had a bigger audience, or do you feel that you enjoyed that off time as well whilst you were doing that grind, to compete?
yeah, it's one of those things. Streaming and competing at the same time was hard, and
Yeah.
I did stream way back in IW, and my numbers were really good back then. And if I did it even semi consistently since then, I'd probably be in a better spot than I am now. But that's another thing. Like people, so many teammates didn't want people to stream scrims and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
it was hard to be consistent because if you're not streaming scrims these days, you're scrimming 3 sets, so that's 8 hours a day. So it's hard to find even time in between or before that with doing VODs and all the other stuff. Even just get a couple hours of streaming in, but yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
think. I think it's just the sense of my teammates not wanting it to do it or not wanting to do it myself.
No, of
Yeah,
course. You even see it in sort of the pro league, like you say, with these franchises. I know you mentioned Optic. They obviously started streaming all their scrims this year, didn't they? And then they've had to revert to turning that off.
yeah,
I think it is important. You've got your like you mentioned yourself, your break offs, all that sort of thing. If you're streaming them, that's an easy watch for those coaches, for those players to be like, well, this is what they do every single time. And to maneuver that is so much easier for the other team, I guess.
yeah. And
And
it's a
like you say,
sense of right. So
go on.
like when you're scrimming and you're in an environment where the stream's on, some people might not say things that they would if it wasn't on.
Yeah, no, exactly. No, and I get that. And like you say, when you've got teammates that would prefer you not to, especially when you're in that competitive environment,
Yeah,
you've got to,
it gets
help each
heated
other
sometimes
out.
in it, but
Yeah,
it's just wanting to be better and saying what you want to say and getting the point across.
yeah, no, exactly that. Okay, so in terms of Warzone, what would you sort of class as your best moment that you've had so far?
Probably like I'd say that was the first thing that comes ahead. So probably the win that I got with Chunk and Louis in the Memorial Cup. It was still a ball race, but that was probably the biggest tournament any of us won that stage, and all the big boys were in it. But it was a KD cap, so like they were sort of split up. But
Yeah,
that we played flawless that tournament. We got 8 wins out of 8. That was literally perfect showing from us. We won it pretty convincingly as well. But that was like the first big tournament win for any of us.
no, I mean like you say, the whole point of that sort of question is again to get it straight out of your mind. You've answered that straight off the top of your mind, so that is clearly something that sits with you. And regardless of like you say, being back in the day, you mentioned that there was huge names in there. Regardless of KD caps, you've come out on top. So
Yeah.
hats off to you there. Um, okay, so we'll go to sort of the streaming side of things. So you've always been, like you say, you've always been on and off with your streaming. Used to stream back in the day, and then come to it. So as soon as you got back on the Warzone grind, were you sort of did that come hand in hand? Were you saying, well, I want to stream this, and then that's every time you play, it's just click and go live
Yeah.
and
It's just I just wanted to stream everything that I did, even if I was making a switch to Warzone. But I just wanted to. I was always like, even when I competed, I wanted to stream as much as I could.
yeah.
But Warzone just made it easier because you're not scrimming, and well, if I'm going to be playing, why am I not streaming, sort of thing.
No, of course, of course. Um, okay. And in terms of content other than streaming, do you sort of go into that? Did you do any sort of IRL content, any YouTube? Do you convert some of your clips and stuff like that into YouTube videos, or?
Right. I've been thinking about doing YouTube recently, but I got a 40 kill like my PB there last week, so I'm gonna cut that up and put that on YouTube. And I had TikTok for a while, I took a break. Well, I didn't really take a break. I just got lazy. I just didn't upload nothing. But I've been getting back on my TikTok grind the last week or so. So
Yeah.
that's where
Well,
that's.
chat. Keep your eyes out for that. We'll be putting all of RiRi's socials in in the description. So make sure that you keep your eyes out for all of those, especially that 40 kill YouTube video. We're going to be excited to watch that. So let's make sure you hurry up that, because
Yeah, I'll get it out this week, hopefully.
we want to see that. Okay, so in terms of the people that you've worked with so far, so this is a bit of a two-way question. So we'll do it from competitive and then also from Warzone. And this can be best person or organisation that you've worked with. So who would be the best person that you've worked with within the scene from competitive?
Uh,
Or organisation, sorry.
I'd say, right, it's not like someone in a management position or anything like that, but when I was in LDLC as a sub, I played with Shane, who coaches London now. And when I played with him at the time, I learned a lot from him. He's very insightful. He'd been around a lot. He knew how to play. He knew how to be a good teammate. He knew all that, and I learned a lot from him.
And is that something that you carried on to sort of different titles?
Yeah, I like to think so. Anyway, the things that he taught me, some of the stuff I'd already known, but like some of the things in game and just being a better teammate in general and how to get better when you were scrimming and stuff like that, that helped. Obviously, he'd been competing at the top for a long time, so it was a good insight.
And who would be the best person or, again, organisation that you've worked with within the scene for your sort of Warzone content?
I've not really been in an org during Warzone, but I'd say the people that I'm consistently playing with now, like Sin and Chunk, that's who I've been playing, grinding with like for the past month or two. They're like, we bounce off each other a lot. Like we're all in the same sort of mindset. We all want to be best. We're grinding. We're putting out TikToks. We're grinding the content. We just want to be up there, and we're all like sort of doing it together. We're pushing each other to be better.
It definitely helps having those people with the same mindset around you. Especially with something like Warzone, where if you're not even playing these tourneys, you can play, just pubs as you class it. But even when you've got those players next to you that again want the same thing, want to be successful, want to grind, it makes your job so much easier.
Yeah, it's probably been the most fun I've had in Warzone playing with these lot, and it probably shows in the content.
Yeah, no, definitely. How long have you guys been sort of grinding as a trio?
Probably for like a month and a half now, but I'd always played with Chunk. I knew Chunk for ages, and Sin, me and him were a duo. Me and Chunk are a duo now, but me and Sin were a duo for months as well. So been playing with them for a long time.
So it just comes hand in hand.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course. Okay, so now we're going to switch it slightly. So again, we'll split it from competitive, and then also the Warzone side of things as well. But if there was one person that you could work with, who would it be and why? Again, we'll start with the competitive.
All right. I think back in his day when he played comp, I would have liked to have played with Tommy or like just picked his brain a bit, because he was even when he streamed, I'd watch all his streams when he's on comp, because he was very know-how and how the game should be played the right way and whatnot, and it showed in all the placements. He was really consistent with everything he did, and he was sort of like where I wanted to put myself.
I think even in Warzone, he shows how that he's turned that competitive know-how into his Warzone game. Like you say, he knows his placements. They speak for themselves. Yeah. So consistent. Okay. And from sort of a Warzone perspective, if there was one person or again an org that you could work with, who would it be and why?
I think Aiden. I look at that guy as like a role model. He's the best in the game. He's unreal. But when you watch him, his content is really funny. He's really entertaining and he's humble. So that's where like I sort of want to aim for myself.
Yeah, and I think one big word, like you said, humble there. I think the majority of his viewers go back time and time again because, again, he's humble. He's grateful for the people that he's got, the community he's got.
Yeah.
So again, brilliant choice. Right. So, final question. Again, this is not related. This is a surprise question.
Okay.
So, You got to take one person with you. You're on an island and you're stuck, and you get 3 items. Go.
One person.
And we'll say that one person has got to be someone that like your community can relate to, so someone that you may play with, or someone that they know, through yourself.
I'm taking Chunk. I'm taking Chunk. That guy just has me cracking up all the time. He just comes out the most random things ever. I definitely enjoy my time with him. Just, I don't know, he's just a random ass guy, and he just comes out with stuff. 3 things I would take though. I don't really. I don't know. I feel like, what would I need?
Yeah, it is a tough one.
Right, I'm on an
It is a tough
island.
one.
I'm taking I don't know how to fish, but I'll take a fishing pole.
Yeah, okay, good
But we
choice.
can
Good,
learn.
good source of food.
We can learn.
Yeah. You can make Chunk do that. You can make Chunk fish. It's fine.
That guy would just go into the sea bare hands. What else do I need? This is actually a difficult question. I'm lost. Am I allowed my phone? I guess.
Yeah, you can take your phone.
And I take like a football or something to keep me entertained.
Yeah. So we've got football, your phone, and obviously like a fishing pole for your food and whatnot. And then you're going with Chunk. I mean that's
Sounds like a great time.
Yeah, quite a chilled getaway. No, brilliant. Okay, so that is the end of the podcast. Thank you so much for coming on. It's been brilliant to pick your brain, especially with the competitive side of things. A lot of our guests are sort of Warzone based. I know yourself, you grind the Warzone, but it's always good to pick someone's brain from back in the day, especially with those old titles and reminisce a bit. But guys, this has been recorded, so it will be uploaded to YouTube and to Spotify. So if anyone has caught, just the back end of it or just the start, you can obviously rewatch it. And all my socials and RiRi Socials will be put on there as well. But thank you again so much for coming on. Thank you so much for bringing your community in. I've seen quite a few followers and quite a few people in the chat, so I really do appreciate that. And enjoy the rest of your day, guys. Peace.